So here we are, back with chapter 50 from Where Did Your Heart Go, part 2, and I won't keep you waiting any longer. I came to, and as I opened my eyes I found I was staring into the worried green gaze of my daughter. I tried to sit up but felt dizzy again and fell back into the arms that cradled me. I couldn't see who held me, but as I blinked a couple more times and then sat up, I saw Sarah, Chris, Charlie, Mitchell, and of course the elderly couple, who I now knew to be Pam and Peter, James's parents. A couple of stewards were stood to the side. "I'm okay," I said quietly as I tried to move, but the arms that held me against his firm body wouldn't let go. I looked down and saw the arms were connected to the only man I had ever loved completely. My mind tried to clear a path through my thoughts that linked today with the past, a past that had somehow collided with the present. "Mum, are you okay?" Charlie asked. "You fainted." One of the stewards stepped forward. "Are you okay to stand, as we need to clear the arena?" he said. "I'll help her," a deep voice from behind me. And once again I felt my whole body trembling from the sound that had not changed in all these years. I looked across to Sarah and she just looked sheepish and then smiled at me. "Thanks," I said as James pulled me up and I was standing again, his body so close behind me that we were almost touching. "I think I need some air." Sarah and Chris appeared either side of me and we started to make our way to the exit. "We'll see you in a little while," Mitchell said, standing with his arms around Charlotte, both their faces pale with shock at my reaction. Sarah motioned to the cafe we had stopped at earlier, which had a small outside seating area, and she left Chris to escort me to a seat in the evening air. I watched what happened next from afar, but it was clear to me what was going on. They all knew about this, and I was the only one left out. Sarah was ordering at the counter and saw James heading in my direction, but seemed to give him short shrift, heading him off at the pass. Before he headed off somewhere else with his parents, he gave her a piece of paper. "It's a shame the bar's not open. I could do with something stronger," Chris said, as he watched them all depart. Sarah rejoined us, and as she passed me the coffee, she also gave me a small slip of paper. "It's from James. He said he'd like to talk to you," she said, taking a long sip of her coffee and smiling over at Chris. I carefully opened it, and once again I was sucked back into the past, his writing so familiar, so remembered. I could see my fingers shaking as I tried to concentrate on the words. "Dearest Stephanie, I know it's been a long time, too long really, but I need to talk to you and tell you what really happened. I know I must have broken your heart, and for that I'm truly sorry. But if you'll hear me out, maybe I can start to mend it. Mitchell knows which room I'm in at the hotel, and I'll be there all evening waiting for you, till the end of time. Yours, James." Breathing out and in again, I read it once more, and then a final time, closing my eyes as panic started to rise. My one hand reached for my wrist, and I started to rub my scar as I felt my emotions spiralling out of control. Chris noticed and reached over to stop me. "I'll tell him to leave you alone if you want me to," he said, adding, "I could kill him for what he did to you," the anger rising in his voice. Sarah reached for my other hand. "You must do what you feel you must. Just remember you're not alone this time," she said, her voice choked with emotion as she watched the tears fall slowly down my cheeks. I excused myself for the nearest restroom so that I could clear my head. I needed to be alone. I needed to think about what had just happened. Leaning against the cool tiles, tears ran in a torrent down my face. I thought I'd cried them all last night, but yet they still kept coming like constant rain. Eventually they slowed and I splashed some water onto my face, looking down at the red lines on my wrists. What was I going to do? Half of me just wanted to turn around in his arms and never let him go again. Half of me wanted to hit him for the hurt he'd caused when he'd walked out of my life. I just didn't know what the best thing to do was. Walking back into the foyer, I heard music coming through the hall as Charlotte and Mitchell practiced their dance for tomorrow, their two worlds having combined to make one. I smiled and walked back to where Sarah and Chris were sat talking. They looked up as I sat down. "I'm going to go and hear him out," I said. "I owe it to him, and as long as you're here I'm strong enough now to decide." My mind was made up. So, is it just going to be us at this fancy restaurant later? Chris said to Sarah. I think so, as Charlie told me that Mitch is taking her up in the London Eye, and I don't think they want to hang out with us old ones, she replied. Thanks, guys, for everything, but can I just ask, did you know? When Charlotte spoke to me the other week, she told me who Mitchell's dad was, and I was so shocked, but she swore me to secrecy. Then at the barbecue, Chris sort of guessed. Sorry, should have told you, she said. It's all right, I understand. I always thought that Mitchell reminded me of someone, but I talked myself out of imagining my thoughts could be right. The music finished, and after another 10 minutes, Charlie and Mitch appeared, their faces shining with sweat and love. I saw Charlie hesitate as she reached the table. Sorry, Mum, she said, I should have told you. Mitch looked around as Sarah stood up. Your dad took your grandparents back to the hotel, so we'll give you a lift. We gathered up our bags, and with Charlotte tucking her arm through mine, we headed to the hotel. In the lift, I turned to Mitchell. James gave me a note and said you would know which room he's in. It's room 306. Just give it a knock. He still loves you. I paused at the door of my room and turned to Charlotte. Have fun, but don't stay out late. I will, Mum, but if you need me, just give me a call or text on my mobile, she replied. Then she stepped forward and filled my arms, whispering, I love you, Mum. I love you too, sweetheart, I replied, and then I watched them walk further along the corridor. Sarah and Chris were in the room next door to me, and in a hurry to get ready and go out. Are you sure you won't come out and eat with us? You know, make him wait, Sarah said. I shook my head. I don't think I can eat. I'm too nervous, and I just need to get this over with. Turning the handle, I entered my room and crossed to look out of the window. Pacing around, I thought of all the things that James might say to me. Did he really still love me? How did I feel about him now? Did I still love him, or just the memory of him? Could I forgive him? As thoughts whirled around my mind, I decided to jump in the shower and change before I took the short walk to his room. As the water soothed me, I shut my eyes and remembered all the times we'd spent together, right back to that very first kiss in the cool of the swimming pool. My stomach fluttered with nerves as I wrapped a towel round me and then rummaged through my bag for something to wear. I pulled the dress out I'd been planning to wear to the restaurant and held it against my body. Dropping it onto the bed, I let my towel fall and looked at my reflection. I ran my hands down over my still slim build and hips and looked at my small breasts, which were still in the right place, the nipples suddenly springing to life under my fingertips. It was as if my body knew where I was going and reliving all the feelings his fingers had brought to life in me when we were together. I pulled on my underwear and dress and started to do my hair and makeup, enough to hide some of my wrinkles, but not too much, as I didn't want him to think I'd made a special effort. In the end, I pulled the dress off and stepped into my jeans and a shirt, which looked a lot better. With my hair in a simple ponytail and a small amount of lip gloss on, I felt as ready as I was ever going to be. The butterflies in my stomach made me feel sick. I grabbed my bag, phone and room key and walked out of safety and into the hotel corridor. As I was in room 342, I had a bit of a walk to find his room. In my head I listened to George Michael singing Faith, as that's what I needed. I paused outside his door, my heart hammering. When I held my hand up to knock, I noticed how badly it was shaking as I connected it with the wood and waited. James had sat in his room ever since returning to the hotel. He'd tried to watch some television, but he kept seeing Stephanie in every single scene. She still looked beautiful and so young, as if the years had hardly touched her since the last moment he had. He took a shower and then stared at himself in the mirror. Would she come? Would she give him the chance? Would she still love him? So many questions to answer, and he just had to wait and hope. Mitchell was taking Charlotte up in the London Eye and then out for a meal before who knew what they'd be up to in their room. He knew his son. He knew from the look in his eyes the desire he felt for Charlie, and he hoped the best for their future. A future which might hang in the balance depending on how things went with Stephanie today. Then he heard a hesitant knock, and he turned away from the view, his heart pounding, nervous butterflies banging against his ribcage. And that's where I'm going to have to leave it So keeping you with butterflies tingling and waiting. Obviously, if you want to read ahead, you can pop onto Amazon now and buy a copy of the book on ebook for your Kindles. It's only 99p or 99 cents, so pretty cheap really. Then you can just read ahead and you'll find out what happens next. Obviously, I'd like you to all join me next time on my recording. And if you do want to buy a paperback copy, they're also available from Amazon, or if you want a special signed one, then please just get in touch. You can find my email on my website, which is www.audrinalane.co.uk. Anyway, and on that note, I will love you and leave you until next time. Bye for now.